And hello everyone, this is Antony Scandale, and I'm the author of my book, Let Go, A Little Guidebook to Freedom, and this is my podcast. And, I have to say the last few weeks of me recording some wonderful people, it's been a lot of fun for me, but I'm sure for also my guests. And today, I have a wonderful guest who I met almost 2 years ago, and his name is Joseph Ghabi. He is the founder and CEO of the Free Spirit Center Incorporated. And he is a former engineer, a banker, and international sales manager. His past is packed with degrees and certifications given only to people of science and logic. Yet Joseph's true gift appears in an area less frequented by typical scientists. But here's the other thing. Unfortunately, we won't get into it too much. He does numerology. He has a book called Blueprint of Your Soul, which was a bestseller. And again, that's a conversation for somewhere down the line. He's with me right now. And hello, Joseph. How are you today?
Very good. How are you, Anthony? Thank you for having me.
Hey, I'm more than happy to have wonderful people like yourself, because this is what this is all about. This podcast is about trying to find people who need help. And you're perfect, because when I first met you, you were doing some of the numerology stuff, but then you've done other things. One of which I want to talk to you quickly about is, which helped me a lot, was when you did the vision board stuff. I cannot tell you, if the listeners out there, talk to Joseph about that some other time with the vision board stuff, because it's very powerful, especially with all the traveling I've done the last few weeks or so, and even months. So, but anyways, Joseph, welcome. Tell me more about yourself and your history, and what brought you to become a healer. I mean, you were a banker at one point. You were an engineer. So what happened?
Well, what happened is basically I figured out in early stage that's not what I need to do. So look, when I was 8, my clairvoyance opened. So I've seen my life at age of 8, and I was seeing stuff from 8 to 15. So it's like the seeds were put in me a long time ago. Now, I studied electrical engineering. I did a master in computer science. Now, 3 months after I graduated from the computer science, I decided to quit.
Right. After
all of these years of study. Now, later I realized what I learned from electrical engineering is basically, because we talk a lot over there, and we tested many things about energy, vibration, and frequency, and that's what I use in all my work. I love this type of work because I study it from a scientific way. I moved it to metaphysics. Now, what I learned from the computer science is programming and deprogramming and removing a code and changing the code, and that's what I use in the healing work, which is help me to that anything we can erase it, we can change it, we can substitute it with something else in order to enhance our life. So if I was a programmer and I see there's a line in the video, not in the video, in the website at the end, I just gonna need to go to my coding and change a code, then it will change the color for me, for example. Okay. So it's the same thing it does in healing. So it's anything we want to do is possible to do, because everything around us, everything is energy. So, and energy really doesn't have any bad feeling in a sense of it. It only have different frequency, and that frequency for some of us, we're using it on a daily basis in a negative way, and some are using it in a positive way, and that will determine the outcome that we have in our life today.
I have to 100% completely agree with you with that. There's a book I read called Power versus Force, and Dr. David R. Hawkins talked about that, that there's a different level of energy. If you were to calibrate it, though, like if someone is, in a low vibration state, like what are we talking about scientifically in terms of like a vibratory rate? Like is it measured in hertz? So what's it measured in versus something that's more joyful or ineffable?
The frequency is always in hertz measured, but the eventually in my new program that I released, Soul to Soul Connection, I'm basing it on Dr. Hawkins' work. So
Mm.
we're going to be doing in the first 5 weeks, we're going to be clearing the lower part of the scale, which is shame, guilt, apathy, grief, fear, and so on.
Yeah.
And we did anger into the teleseminar that I did for that program. So we're going to, my intention is to bring everybody into the courage level, which is 200 as a frequency. So
Okay, got you.
because that's the minimum we all should be in. Unfortunately, stuff happen in our life. We cannot deny it. We cannot run away from it, but we don't need to live with it. That's the difference.
You know, you're absolutely right. I had this conversation a while ago with Dr. Eva Selhub, and she talked about stress and that stress is actually necessary, right? But, because if you didn't, she mentioned, like, if you had to go to the bathroom, you get that signal, well, you have to go to the bathroom. If you don't, what's going to happen, right? So you do need that level of stress, but it's about managing stress. But what you're getting at, it seems to me that you're absolutely right. Yes, people do need the help, and you don't have to just live with it in that way or make it worse. I used to make it worse than it actually is, and I let my imagination take off and do stupid things and but that's the problem. I think that's the biggest problem right now is I feel that a lot of people need the help. They don't know who to talk to. They also feel that they cannot change.
Yes. And that's a wrong myth, it's a wrong idea, it's a wrong belief system. It's an old program that need to be cleared out, because everything you can change, because it's all energy. Mm-hmm. We're not changing the experience that you went through, because that experience is already obsolete.
Right.
If you had breakfast this morning and you didn't like your breakfast, now can we change what you ate this morning? We cannot change that. You already process it. But what that breakfast and how you felt about it, that brought you is feeling, and that feeling, that what we can change. Because if we don't change that feeling, you won't have the same breakfast for all your life after that. But when we change the feeling, now you will get weaned out slowly to get into that, back to that breakfast, to eat eggs, for example, if it was eggs you were eating or whatever you were eating, to bring you back into that. But by removing that feeling that made you feel awful or made you feel sick in your stomach at that point, and just taking away that, and that feeling is energy. Right. And unfortunately, with the energy of that feeling, it will locate itself somewhere on our body. So if any time you have the same feeling, you will feel a pain or somewhere uncomfortable in the same area in your body every time you think about that same feeling. Right. So if that feeling lasted for years and years and years, we've been in denial of it, that feeling is sitting around a chakra, and that chakra is going to create dis-ease in our life. And this is, in my personal belief system, this is how disease are created. It's not because we eat junk food only is the problem we're having. Our emotions are the one who's making us sick. It's not just the food, The food, yes, we need to eat healthy as much as we can at all time, because we need to be conscious. This is our responsibility to do that. But also it's our responsibility to clean up the mess of the feeling that we're still holding and fighting and resisting to let them go, because that's our responsibility too. The moment we start taking responsibilities, this is when we start seeing the bright light in front of us, that there's a hope, or there's a way that we can be free from everything.
Absolutely, 100%. This is why we're doing this podcast. It's just to create that sense of hope, because I just wish. See, my background was television broadcasting, and I tell you this, Joseph, there was a time where I would be eating a certain kind of fast food twice a day because I saw it as a commercial inside the station that I was working at, and this was a constant, and it made me feel gross. It felt I felt so lethargic that I couldn't think or process. I couldn't work properly. I couldn't sleep properly. And then it came down to my emotional level that I let things bother me. So, I mean, it does come down also to what you're eating. But yes, you're right. Like you have to choose to be happy. I feel is what you're trying to get at too.
Yes, you have to. You have no choice eventually. But you cannot find really your true identity if you're still holding to the old you. You cannot stop attracting the right people in your life if you keep believing that nobody is going to love you anyway.
Yeah.
You know, and it's time for all of us, and especially in the new consciousness that we have around us since 2012, that to start going after and clearing out the non-serving relationships. And what I mean by that, all the people that we signed agreement with them, and starting from our parents, because in society we say family comes first, family everything, that you don't have a life view, is you have to take care of the family. That's all rubbish. You can be with your family, but you don't need to be connected energetically. You just need to release, amend those agreements and say, I don't need those agreements. And you still talk to your family regularly and normally, but you don't have to have the obligations that of those agreements that you sign up with them to keep triggering you at all time, anytime they see you.
I was going to say that too, because there will be a time in your life where you're not going to see the same friends you did maybe when you were 5 years old, or even, let's say, high school. And if you were to meet those people again, like, there's some big changes that happened in between the time that was spent away from each other. I've also discovered too that you just have to simply say, that's it. I cannot be a part of your life because you're bringing me down, kind of thing. We are talking with Joseph Ghabi, and we're talking about his new program called Soul to Soul Connection, which is a 9-week online program, which talks about to find your true identity and attract the right people into your life and clear out non-serving relationships. And that's what we're on the topic now, is the non-serving relationships. So would it be? See, this is where it gets a little troubling for some people. I can understand that you've had this friend for such a long time, and then you just know, you know what, this is not working anymore. There's you're not changing, and if especially happens like if you say to yourself, I'm changing, I'm moving, I'm doing certain things, if that person's not helping you in such a way, maybe it is time to break ties. But what would you say is the best way to cut the ties, so to speak?
Okay, look, we have to go and cut the tie. I do the cutting of those ties through meditation, and my meditation has been improving every year eventually.
Right.
So it's keep upgrading, moving with the new consciousness. That's what's happening. We need to cut those ties. Now, when we cut those ties, then we will see if that person meant to stay with us or meant to leave. Mm-hmm. Because there's a lot of things that have a deadline. I'm going to meet you in the first stage in your life between age 5 to 15, and then I will disappear. Maybe I can come back and see you at 30. We'll reunite again. We see what's happening from that point. For some people are for all your life. Whatever you do, they're always with you because they are your best supporter in that sense. But at the same time, they are the one who keep pushing you up every time you fall down. So we have negative agreements, and those negative agreements are with people. We asked them before we came in here. We asked them, please, can you provide me how to feel about 100% forgiveness? I'd like to learn about forgiveness. I need 100%. When we ask someone for 100% forgiveness as our lesson, what it means at the end of it is we're asking that person to give us a very tough experience because it requires 100% forgiveness. So we're expecting that experience, and why we need to keep dwelling over it? We need to learn about that feeling. What does it mean for me to say, I'm sick and tired, being sick and tired, enough is enough. I learned what I need to learn about the forgiveness, and I'm ready to give you my 100% forgiveness and let it go and move on. Because now, once you do that, then you're going to take that forgiveness that you learned about yourself and you applied it in your life. And this is where you're going to take it and teach it.
Right. And on top of which, you're going to find other people who have a better lesson for you, if it's not a negative one, but it's going to certainly be one that's going to catapult you to the next level after that.
Yeah, I mean, look, there's a quote from Wayne Dyer which I like, and eventually it was Wayne Dyer. When I do my numbers with him, I do have a soulmate connection with him, and this quote really triggered something for me which I believe in and I work with. He said, "If you don't make peace with your past, it will keep showing up in your present."
Yeah.
And that's so true.
Yeah.
Because if you need to learn a lesson from your dad or your mom, how many of us keep attracting it in our boyfriend and girlfriends?
Yeah.
And at the end, if you keep having the boyfriend and you still didn't learn it, you're going to attract it in your client, at work, and everywhere. And how many of us keep saying, I keep attracting similar people in my life? Well, hello, wake up. Maybe there's something you need to learn about you.
Yeah.
I mean, this is where we need to start becoming, instead of keep putting Botox here, doing this in here, getting all the distraction and all the self-indulgence we do in life just to avoid dealing with those old emotions. Well, maybe it's time to get into those emotions.
Oh, you couldn't have said it better. That was perfect. Yeah. And it's interesting with the relationship fact that you do it does show up, even the stranger down the street that you see every once in a while, like you attracted that person somehow, but there's that lesson behind that person that you're unaware of. But if you were to go back into time and forgive yourself and others, you may not see that stranger later on, right? So I highly agree with you with that one.
Because you see, you cannot be happy and miserable at the same time. You need to choose. But most of us sitting in the middle, we keep complaining. You have to choose. You want to be happy, then choose being happy, and start working towards it and clear up what is holding you from being happy. If you want to be miserable, then be miserable and stop complaining about it.
Yeah,
that's all. Because you cannot be healthy and you cannot be sick at the same time. You have to choose. It doesn't work. It's a contradictory. So we have to make bring the awareness to ourselves, is to be aware that I did have some problems I've been hiding for so many years. Find out what they are, acknowledge them, and now start working on releasing them. Yeah. Definitely, we all need help. We cannot do it alone.
Yes.
Because if you cannot, like Les Brown said, you cannot see the picture if you are living in the frame.
Mm-hmm.
So, which is a quote. I really love this quote from him, because it's really true. If I am in the frame, I cannot see the whole picture.
No.
So I need help from somebody to see it on my behalf and for me to fix it after.
That's true. Yeah. I've been that person where I thought I could do everything myself, and boy, was I wrong.
We can't. Even me, I have coaches for me. It's not like we have to sit without being coached by somebody else. And there's nothing wrong with that. It doesn't make you lesser than anything else, because we cannot see the whole picture of our life while we are living it.
Yeah. You're right. I mean, you look at some of the best golfers or some of the best hockey players or any other sport, they still need a coach on the sidelines. They still
Everybody needs. Everybody.
It's interesting too, because and I'll just choose hockey because it's one of my passions. After the game, the players sit down in a war room and they're watching the tape of what they did the night before, and they've got this, specialty coaches that come in and said, you were wrong in that shift. You should have done this instead. And they're all learning, and some of them are actually literally taking down notes. So it is okay to ask for help.
There's nothing wrong with that. And don't stop being stubborn on yourself. Yeah. and keep saying, I don't need help, because we all do need that, because, and this is when it comes for me. I remember when I was doing all this work, and I'm excited about it, and everything has been, I've been doing this work for 25 years. As you know, and one day I went into an event. I mean, at that event, everything that speaker is speaking about, I already teach it even myself.
Yeah.
Then I said to myself, what am I supposed to learn from him? That
Yeah.
I'm not even paying attention to it. He
Yeah.
said one phrase. Literally, I jumped from my seat. The people around me, they saw me. I jumped from my seat. And he said, are you interested or are you committed?
Yeah.
Then I realized I'm interested in what I'm doing. I've never been committed 100% to it. And it's time for all of us to start committed to our well-being.
Right. So in other words, that you stay committed to your commitment.
That's it. We always, if it didn't work now, I skip things and I stop doing it because, it doesn't work. We need to be consistent.
Mm-hmm.
We need to be consistent. You need to have a vision in front of you. And in the vision board, we say you're going to always concentrate on where you want to be going, not where you are today.
Yeah.
I mean, when you want to manifest anything, you cannot manifest from the background where I am today. Where you are today, you're not going to go anywhere.
Right.
So we're going to keep bringing the consistency of keep looking at ourselves, being in that place where we see that I'm driving this Ferrari or I'm living in that big house on the beach or whatever it is you desires to have. But you
Right.
cannot concentrate seeing yourself living in an apartment and how I'm supposed to pay for that big house.
Right.
You need to keep your vision that I am living with that house and keep the emotions and feeling alive, and then let the universe do this magic.
Yeah. No,
You don't need to work hard on it even.
No, because it's all like you said. It starts with that thought, and then you just sort of. I like to put it as that you need to massage your emotions.
It's a good way to put it. Yes.
And just to make sure, just to keep tabs on it and see how it feels, because when you finally do take the action, it could go sour on you for not thinking properly, if you don't have that emotion, that fresh feeling of like, yeah, this is gonna happen, and it could go sideways on you quickly when you do decide to take action.
Yeah, I mean, look, everything is possible, everything we can do, everything we can change, but we need to take that commitment to ourselves that I'm ready to take some, chances on me.
Yeah.
That many of us lack of that because we don't take enough chances on ourselves saying, well, I've been sick and tired of being sick and tired. Maybe it's time for me to make some changes. Maybe I need some help. Maybe I contact a teacher. Trust me, anytime the students are ready to start going, you're going to find the teacher in front of your face everywhere.
That's true. Yeah, everyone's a reflection of you somehow.
That's it. I mean, It's not like you're going to be looking for life where I'm going to find those people. They will show up instantly the moment you are ready to do the work.
This happened recently to me too. As an example, some of the people that I've been wanting to do the podcast with, they kind of fell through because of whatever obligation, and maybe one of them is still interested. But I went to Tofino for work, and lo and behold, I find two people I thought they would be perfect for the podcast, even though that a couple days ago, some other person probably backed out or wasn't sure about it. So it's amazing how just life works. You're not responsible for how. You're just responsible just to feel good and just know that it's going to happen. And like you said, and to be consistent. So with me right now is Joseph Ghabi. We are talking about his Soul to Soul Connection. It's a 9-week online program. When is this going to begin for you, the program?
The program, we're going to start next week eventually. I started it yesterday, but we did just an intro stuff. So it's not like it started into the release and clearing of the shame. The first week we're going to be talking about shame.
Okay.
And from the Dr. Hawkins, which is is the lowest of that scale, which is 20 as a frequency. So
right.
We're going to be working on that meditation starting next week, and that's where we're going to take it to the next level and seeing where this might take us. Now, what the beauty of this program is, it will build up into you. Now, even if you couldn't join this next one coming, you can enroll for the next one, because I'm going to be doing it almost every once one finish, I'm starting the next one immediately.
Right.
So, or you can start in the middle of it and you can jump over to the next one that follow also. So it's not like it's a big deal, because you're gonna release in first week about shame, the next week about guilt. So if you started with apathy, you can keep going from there, and you come back into the next program that's starting after, and you can go into the first thing. So it's not like you're gonna be missing so much, because
Right.
the whole purpose of and intention for this program is to start releasing and clearing those energy out of us.
Right.
In which order you start in them, it doesn't matter. Just start. So if somebody we are in week 5 and said, can I start? I said, you can jump in, and then you follow it later on with the next one that's coming up. So it's not like it's going to be continuous going, and there's always one call with me every week. If there is any help, any support, any release on the call, whatever is meant to be, we will do it into that call every week. We have one call.
And I can vouch for that, because anytime when I've needed to reach out to you, you've been very responsive almost right away. So I appreciate that. And I know that the listeners who are considering, definitely go see Joseph, and he will be there to help you out. Where can we find you, though, on the website?
You can go to freespiritcenter.org.
Okay.
And you go into the programs, you see the first program, new program, Soul to Soul Connection Masterclass.
Okay.
And this is where you can, freespiritcenter.org. And if you want to go directly to the program, you can put /soul, and you can get into that program directly, or you can explore the site, or you can find me anywhere on Facebook. So
right.
I'm all over Facebook. So,
well, thank you for everything here, Joseph. I hope we can talk again soon. Hopefully, maybe a little bit on the numerology side of it, because there are a lot of people who love and enjoy numerology. But we'll wait on that one for a little bit. But again, thank you for being here today with doing the podcast. This podcast is going to be released pretty soon. And that's it for me. I want to wish everyone a happy week, and there's more podcasts coming down the road. I can promise you that. I'm going to stay consistent. I'm going to keep it fun, and I just want to let you in on something. Coming up, I'm going to be a part of a book called Positive Mental Attitude. I've added a chapter to that book, which should be coming out by the end of this. Actually, the end of this week, which would be June the 25th, but by the time you hear this audio, it'll be out on Amazon and in book form. And lastly, if you want to buy my book, it's on Amazon, Let Go Book, or actually it's called Let Go, A Little Guidebook to Freedom, and just go to Amazon and you can find it there. But last and most important, ignite your inner power and watch your world change, and we'll talk soon. Thank you, and thank you again there, Joseph.
Thank you for having me, Antony.
Take care.
Bye.